What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? Welcome in OutSpoken Network. Say what you mean what you say. As always, I am Cordell.
Marqus.
Rock.
Deuce.
And before we get to the topic of the day, please like, subscribe, rate, review, share on all socials. With that, topic of the day, newsy news today.
Commanders!
Breaking news.
Might be the only time all year we talk about them.
The Commanders have traded former first-round pick Jahan Dotson and a fifth to the Eagles, division opponent, for a third and 2 sevenths.
Yep.
This is not the first trade that the Commanders have made.
No, sir.
With a division opponent, i.e. Eagles again, where they traded back and allowed them to come up to get
Cooper DeJean.
Cooper DeJean, thank you. Cooper DeJean.
Say his name all.
And who did you guys draft instead in that?
Mike Hammersill from Michigan. And we drafted somebody else. I'll look at the trade real quick. But yes, we traded
with that being said, it is not usual. It's not common.
Oh, Johnny Newton? Was it Johnny Newton?
We got 50 and 53 and 161.
I'm saying, but then
47. We got
we
traded back from one of those picks too.
So, all right. Anyways, it is uncommon to see divisional opponents trade with each other one time. I don't think I've ever seen it happen twice in one offseason.
And I can remember.
Smart or stupid?
Well, when everybody else keep hanging up in your face, except one team.
You on the phone calls?
Go ahead. Do you think?
You understand?
Address the team.
It's crazy how you want to throw things.
As a Commanders fan, how do you feel about it? Do you like it? Do you think he's just he's smart? He's the smartest person in the room. Is that what's happening? Commanders GM, smartest person in the room.
It already feels different because Ron Rivera last year, the last 4 years, felt like he was trying to be the smartest one in the room by trading back in drafts, by drafting corners who were graded lower than other corners in the draft, things of that nature. So seeing how Adam Peters and Dan Quinn have built the team this year, it already feels different because they're putting leaders in the locker room. There's a different feel at camp. You're bringing in Bobby Wagner, who's a leader. Austin Eckler, who's a leader. Most of our draft picks were captains.
When you say leader, was he a captain? Is that how we know that Eckler was a leader? You need to give me some information on making
captain and work ethic. How they speak about Austin Eckler being early, leaving late, how he speaks to the guys. Why are you squinting for?
I'm listening. I'm listening.
How they speak about him and how he carries himself. That's how I him as camp. The energy and the vibe, how reporters have been describing camp, it feels different, right? Which was weird with Jahan Dotson because we were talking more about De'Ami Brown in camp than we were Jahan Dotson. Jahan Dotson himself said that at the joint practice last week that he needed to be better, that he was trying to improve. There was something that was off. And Dan Quinn, the fact that they were fighting for a number 2 spot that was already his and competing with dudes who hadn't made their name in the league, like who were dropping passes, you know what I'm saying, who were doing things that wide receivers shouldn't do, right? The job was his. And the fact that he was competing for it was weird, right? So I don't know if the evaluation that they have on Jahan Dotson is right or wrong. It felt like Jahan wasn't what they thought he was going to be, which isn't surprising. What made me upset was trading to the Eagles. Because even if it didn't work out just vibe-wise, fit-wise, like that happens with dudes, trading him to figure out himself with the Eagles and it ends up working out with the Eagles, that is going to be a problem because he's 24, for one, and he's in an offense where he really not going to get no attention. They're not going to be game planning for him at all. When you got Devontae and AJ and Saquon in the back, you got Jalen Hurts with push and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to be worried about Jahan Dotson. He could really just play freer, in theory, in that offense. So, like, in terms of how they were able to value him or not value him, whatever the case is, I don't know if they were wrong with that. It felt like it was right to get rid of him, considering they was trying to get out for so long. But I don't like that they traded him. That's kind of where I'm at.
So, do you have an initial thought on who won the trade?
The Eagles off rip. I mean, we gave a first-round pick away for a first-round pick and a fifth round of third. Like off rip, like no, we lost out. Like we lost value from where we initially started with him.
All right.
Well, yeah, I think the only problem I had with the trade is just the timing. I think that the timing was done previously, like probably pre-draft, even though it's kind of hard to evaluate Jahan Dotson at that time, so I can understand why they didn't do it at that time. But it's just that to give away a guy 2 weeks before the season starts, it's kind of like, especially when he's your only other proven guy-ish other than Terry McLaurin, it's just kind of like with a rookie quarterback, I would like to have as many guys as you can get for them, as many weapons as you can have. So even if he has a bad training camp and not that great of a preseason, I guess, like I would still hold out hope at least throughout the season, or at least until the trade deadline where you just really know, okay, like this isn't helping my quarterback. But for them to do it 2 weeks before the season with a rookie quarterback, and now all you got is De'Ami Brown, Zacchaeus, and Luke McCaffrey, I'm like, not really high on. Just
it definitely isn't ideal, but at the same time, the quickest way for the Commanders to win this trade is if they get Brandon Ayuk with the pick they acquire.
I think it just makes it harder because it's like with Ayuk, it's not something that you can for sure say you're going to have.
Absolutely.
So I'm just like, I need as much guarantees on this roster as I can have, and you just lost one of those. Like even if he's not, I think what he had 500 yards the past 2 seasons, like not combined, but just like each. I think that I would rather have that on the roster, even if he was demoted to wide receiver 3, just to have somebody that I know can play, than now Luke McCaffrey. So, yeah. Yeah, so I'm saying just comment for me, but if they could have done better with that, then obviously that would have been great. But right now, not so.
They gotta flip the rock.
Quietly listening,
Sure. Yeah. Quietly listening. I have no choice. It's the Commanders we're talking about.
Why do they?
I think
please.
from the Eagles' perspective,
Please.
they're looking for Jahan Dotson to be an upgrade over what Quez Watkins gave them last year. That guy that's able to play in the slot, and he definitely, when called upon, he can be somewhat of a deep threat when on certain routes, on certain assignments and things of that nature. I think that's what they're trying to aim to get an upgrade there. They brought in Paris Campbell this offseason as well, former Colt, former Giant, to add more speed to the unit. I'll say this: the Eagles got a weird combination of receivers because they got AJ, and then you got Devontae. They drafted Johnny Wilson. They just added Jahan.
Isn't that what you want? You want like different type of guys?
Not necessarily. Like it's right. Like
well, that's what I'm saying. I think their scheme
that wouldn't
works for
example. You know what I'm saying? How they're building their.
I mean, they build this off of speed. But
right, so why trade for Chase? Why bring in Chase Claypool last year? It never felt.
Well, Chase Claypool
natural.
He's a fast guy for 40 time. No, for 40 he ran a 4.3. It's just like play speed is definitely different. But I understand it like with the Eagles because they have a bunch of different guys that can do different things. And I think they
4.2.
4.2, okay. Still fast. But
finish your thought process.
But when the Eagles in their perspective, yes, it is definitely weird to see a division trade like that, especially this close to the season. We're 2 weeks away from the season kicking off, and a trade like this is being made. I do definitely think from that aspect for the Eagles, it is an upgrade. I think Jahan can go into a situation where, as Eric pointed out, there's no game planning for him. Because you're so worried about AJ, you're so worried about Devontae, you're so worried about Saquon. Hell, you're still keeping an eye out on Goddard as well. So it's one of those situations where I can definitely see this thrive from day one because he's in a really good situation. From the Commander's perspective, I don't like this trade simply because if you are all in on Jaden Daniels, which they obviously are, you will want to keep as many resources as possible around him. That's having veteran offensive line people, which they did this offseason. They made 2 or 3 signings on the offensive line, adding a backfield where you have multiple options there as well when you want to run the football, and having as many receiver combinations as you can. You just took a guy off the field in Jahan Dotson, and outside of Terry McLaurin, it's nothing but question marks everywhere else. With Luke, who I do like, I like Luke McCaffrey a lot. I think Luke can actually be a weapon in that scheme. But De'Ami Brown, Olamide Zaccheaus, like you're looking at Olamide Zaccheaus as being your wide receiver 2 to start the season, which is like, man.
Nah, it'll probably be Brown. It's got to be Brown.
But will it be Brown by default?
I mean, yeah,
after camp, it felt.
I mean, he played well in the preseason. I give him that, but it's just that regular season we just don't know what that looks like.
And even like for a Commanders fan, I kind of see writing on the wall a little bit in terms of what they were trying to do with Jahan when all the starters came out in their preseason game last week, and he just kept going with the second and third. Like they were putting, I think he played 30-some snaps when Terry played like 10 or 11 snaps. It was weird that how many reps that he was getting in the preseason. He was already starting.
This does also tell me they were going to cut Jahan next week anyway. They just wanted to see if they can get something for him. He was probably going to get cut on Tuesday, which is cut down day.
But like, for why?
Why not?
Because you need, like you just said, you need as much resources.
If you need that many resources, why trade him? That's the thing.
That's why I said it was
but I said they were going to let him go. That's what it tells me. They looked at this situation. Well, I don't think Howie Roseman called Washington and said, "Hey, what can I get, or can I get Jahan?" This is obviously the Commanders shopping Jahan. So this tells me that they wanted to see, can we get something out of him?
I don't think this is the first time that the Eagles and Commanders have talked about Jahan. For one, I don't know who initially did. Maybe
he's only been there for 2 years,
which is I understand.
That's enough.
This summer, I'm talking about over the past couple months. This isn't the first time they had reached out about it. I don't think, but I do think that this second time might have been more Adam Peters than the Eagles. I think the first time was probably the Eagles.
I think they were shopping him. And I think they were shopping him because they wanted to see what they can get for him before he's possibly a roster cut next week. You always want to do that. You always want to see if you can get something out of a guy, especially when you devoted a first-round pick on him. You want to see if you can get something in return. It's like, imagine letting a first rounder walk after 2 years. Like, imagine how that would look. You get nothing back in return.
Like the Giants did?
That corner?
Like, it's just, that's just how it is.
DeAndre Baker,
yeah. So it's one of those things. But I think there's promise because, like I said, I do like Luke McCaffrey a lot. I think he was very underrated coming out of college, very productive at Rice. But I just think right now, it's obvious that everything was built around Jaden. We're all in on Jaden. We're giving him the starting job day one. The fact that 2 weeks before the season is like, okay, let's take a weapon off the field for Jaden is where I'm scratching my head a little bit. Not only take him off the field, but take him off the field and send him to Philly.
I get it.
Where you're going to see him twice a year.
It didn't make sense. But in terms of a fit, it felt like Jahan wasn't meshing. I don't know why or what happened.
It did.
Because, like, his rookie year, he was very productive. Like, the touchdowns was crazy. He only played, like, 6-7 games.
It has to fall back on quarterback as well.
In terms of the last 2 years?
I think that has some part to do with it, right? Yes. In terms of him not reaching his certain potential by now, some of it is on his plate. But I think also some of it has to deal with the fact that
I do blame Sam Howell. Eric Bieniemy's system also didn't necessarily suit his style.
That's fair.
Play, I guess, in terms of the
it's kind of like how
it would have been his third. This would have been his third system in 3 years.
It's kind of sort of like how we feel about Drake London. Like, he's played okay, he's played well, but we know he can reach another level, but we also knew he wasn't going to reach that level with the quarterback play.
No.
Like, you needed, in order to see a true potential of a player.
Though Sam Howell was definitely better than Desmond Ridder and Taylor.
That ain't saying much.
It's not. But he was better.
I'm just saying he was just a little better.
And they got rid of him 1 year as a starter. They were like, yeah, we're good.
He wasn't a starter.
He's probably just a career backup.
They didn't even keep him as a backup. They were like, nah, bro.
I mean, he's a backup with Seattle. So.
Going somewhere.
This regime it seems like they're pretty keen of getting people fresh starts. You know what I'm saying? Saying, we'll get you a fresh start, new environment. We don't want you. We don't have any plans of making you the starter. Go ahead, see if you can make your name elsewhere. Jahan, it wasn't working. It's just nice having you, boo-boo. Go get you a little fresh start. Like, I don't know. I trust them so far. I'm not gonna question what they got going on. The feel of the franchise has already changed.
Not gonna question at all.
I mean, it's the start of the regime.
We haven't seen it yet. Like, I'll have more questions maybe based on results, but
yeah,
like,
now
right
I don't.
like,
yeah,
look, let's go and work what we got. I trust. I mean, looking at the roster, it's already better than what we had last year. So let's start. You hesitating? It's not better than last year.
Are we done?
Is the roster
Are we done?
Is that it?
I haven't said a word yet.
Go ahead.
I've been quietly just listening. Are we done?
well, sometimes you don't like to say anything.
Not the case. Not on football. No, don't do that. This,
NFL.
yes, thank you. I just was waiting.
There has been.
Yeah. Making it seem like he always talking.
But go ahead.
Those for basketball.
This,
The NCAA.
thank you.
Okay. Now I want to specify.
This is. I think the Eagles just became the Bengals 2.0. That's where I'm at. If I'm sitting here and I have AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, and now Jahan Dotson, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd.
Ain't got Boyd no more.
That goes right. I know.
He's just comparing.
I'm getting that. Right. So that's what I'm saying. But now I also have Saquon in the back, which is not anything that Burrow ever had.
I do think Dotson can definitely thrive.
And Joe Mixon went number sneeze at.
But he's not Saquon.
He's not Saquon.
Okay. And then Goddard, right? Is Goddard the starter or is
Goddard? Yeah, Goddard is still the starter.
Right.
Goddard.
So Goddard over Hayden Hurst. So, right. So I'm sitting here and I'm looking at this. I'm like, why would you set them up for this?
So if you're going to go that far with it, do you feel comfortable with the play calling aspect? Because Kellen Moore is the play caller, and this is the same guy who dropped the ball in Dallas, who didn't have great results.
I don't think he dropped the ball. I think he was just a scapegoat.
That's so he was a scapegoat in Dallas, but not in LA.
In LA, it's just what do What do people always talk about LA? They always say, "Oh man, injuries, man. Like that, it's nothing you can do about it." Because if that's the case, you gotta put some of that on Justin Herbert. If that's the case,
I feel like that's a lot of movement for a guy that's a good play caller. But go ahead.
Number one offense.
But I'm asking, like, are you taking that in the aspect?
So I'm not really with the Cowboys thing. I'm like, is it Kellen Moore or is it McCarthy? Because normally, there's a
little bit of both.
Because normally, if you're an offensive-minded guy as a head coach, you're going to take more of the blame. If you're a defensive-minded guy and your defense is trash, you're going to take the blame over the defensive coordinator. Usually, that's how we target these guys. So for the Cowboys, I'm going to put that more on McCarthy. In this instance, I don't think the Cowboys have ever had as much talent as the Eagles have right now. Can we agree with that?
They had Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, and
oh no, man! They had one of the greatest offensive lines we've seen in quite a long time.
I was talking about, I wasn't thinking about.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They had CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, and Zeke.
Which
that was still
CeeDee's rookie year.
Yeah, CeeDee's rookie year. They had him, Amari Cooper, and Zeke.
But right,
it was like I think that was either 2020 or 2021. One of those.
They definitely traded Amari.
Right, but
they traded Amari Cooper for CeeDee Lamb.
They did play together for you.
But they did. That's what I'm saying.
No, I get that, but CeeDee in his rookie year is what I'm now about to look at to see. Like,
I think he had 1,000 yards, or maybe he had a little less than that.
2020,
right? Yeah, they both.
Yeah, 935.
I want to say a little less.
So,
but still a good number two.
And that was still Zeke in his prime as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
it was. I would just say who was it Schultz still too?
Yeah, Dalton Schultz was still.
Yeah.
Gallup as 3.
Yeah, and that was a good Gallup.
Yeah, that was
good.
That was before the CL.
Yeah.
So I mean, we'll see. This one will be all.
I wouldn't say that's prime Zeke though.
What would you say?
He's 4 yards a carry, less than 1,000 yards.
How old was he?
But remember, he didn't. But he didn't.
That was prime Zeke.
No, he didn't play every game. He didn't play every game. I don't think.
One game
at 25. It ain't prime Zeke at 25.
I mean, when you think prime Zeke, I'm thinking that 1,600, 1,800.
That was like
just in the first 2.
That was like his second year in the league.
He peaked early.
He stayed.
Oh my god.
I don't know what you want me to tell you. I didn't expect him to decline as rapidly as he did. Even 2 years before that, led the league in rushing. Then he went 13.
Well, his down.
Here's my question. So, would you put this more on Sirianni if it failed, or would you put this more on Kellen Moore?
This is definitely more on Sirianni.
Sirianni, for sure.
This is definitely on his plate.
But here's the thing: if things don't go the way, if the ship seems to be teetering again, right, and especially offensively with all this talent, should Sirianni step in and be like, "I'm going to call plays. I'm going to take the
Yes, yes. But I think the question, at least from me during this offseason when they hired Kellen Moore, it was one of those situations where it's like, okay, you had Brian Johnson last year. We all kind of sort of questioned that. It played itself out on the field. You move on from Brian Johnson, cool. You may be going after someone that's proven or has a little bit more of a track record, and you hire Kellen Moore, who a lot of the public are like, but they're still fairly skeptical about it. So that's why I'm asking, like, do you go in that aspect?
And then plus, hold on, before you say that, with the whole you saying Sirianni is going to take over play calling, that's not going to happen. The reason why it's not going to happen.
Question.
No, I'm saying the reason why it's not going to happen is because when they came out with that report, right, and Sirianni has said already that he is giving more of the reins to Kellen Moore, so Kellen Moore and Hurts can go over what they want to do best, rather than him trying to insert himself, which is what he did last year. So
it's the personal relationship that's where.
But it's the personal, but just letting like them do the plays that they want to do, and him not trying to insert himself.
So if the ship is sinking, you think he's just gonna sit by?
He has to, because he tried. He did it.
If the ship is sinking, they're gonna throw him overboard.
That's what I'm saying. But
like that.
But what I'm saying,
that's why I would have to take control before I get thrown overboard. I need to put my hands on this offense if something is not right.
But this is what he tried to do, and this is why they started losing. Like, even though last year we was like, oh, it's not looking that right, but they were still winning games, he tried to insert himself, and then things fell apart. That's why I'm saying he cannot do that, because it'll just be the same result as last season where they just went downhill.
It's going to come back to Sirianni because of the track record that he's had, like y'all was saying. But if this season goes to shit, he hired Kellen Moore for one, so he can get blamed for that.
Right.
Even if the play calling or whatever is bad and he's hands off, his job is on the line. So at some point, he's going to have to go ahead and take control, make sure that he does what he can at least to save himself, or you got to hold that L because he was the one that hired Kellen Moore, and he had the issues with the coordinators last year.
You have to trust the guy you hired.
So, and then to wrap this all up, I just think it was too soon for the Commanders to give up on your first round.
Yes.
2 years.
Absolutely.
2 years in.
Absolutely.
In his peak. But if he
you have 3 more years with him.
If they're shipping him off because they don't think that he can reach his peak here, like if they don't feel as though
you think they did just for him? You can't reach your peak here. Let me help you.
No.
But I know.
We help you get to your peak.
No.
So we're gonna release you somewhere where you.
They're trying to. I think the statement the Commanders are trying to make is, we don't think you're going to reach your peak. We're going to put you in the offense where you still won't reach it. We're not even afraid of the fact they're playing you twice a year.
This is an insult.
It is. Sometimes it is. The Commanders are like, we're not, even with you being with the Eagles and A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, we still not worried about you. We'll see you twice a year. We still don't care. That's what the Commanders are saying.
Because I don't remember the rules in the NFL, but do the Eagles have the 5th-year option, or is it gone because it's a trade?
No, they still have it.
They have the 5th-year option with him.
Yes.
Okay, so they have 3 years now with John.
Yeah, that's why the Steelers had Justin Fields' 5th-year option. They just declined.
Yeah, that 2 years in on his third, as you guys said, going on to his third playbook, third coach.
I know it's early, but
how many wide receivers? How many quarterbacks did he play with in 2 years?
At least 4,
5, 6. Yeah.
I think 5.
But they still saying like, nah, bro,
dog,
you can go over there. You still ain't gonna do nothing.
No,
That's what they're saying.
I don't think that they would. I really don't think they would have cut him. I think
that's hard.
Believe that you are going to cut somebody after 2 years who's a first round.
So especially on a rookie deal.
If you're not going to cut him, why shop him?
He's cheap.
If you're not going to cut him, why shop him then?
You shop him if you can't make
to see what you can get, but not. But cut him.
I'm gonna still hold. If I can't get anything, then I'm gonna hold on to him. If he's not expensive,
if he's still viewed as an asset, you're not. The Steelers are not shopping George Pickens, even though George Pickens hasn't reached.
They did shop Deontay Johnson.
Because Deontay didn't want to be there. He publicly stated that I don't want to be here.
But I'm just saying,
those are fatal words in the Pittsburgh locker room.
There are plenty of people who've been shopped. They don't find what they want out there, and then they're like, "Well, you're just gonna come on right back."
But you're shopping them for a reason. You're not shopping them just for the sake of, let me see.
Right, but I'm not gonna cut you and get nothing either. Like either you're gonna play for me, or I'm trading you to go somewhere else. But I'm not about to cut my first round.
Like for nothing. Yeah, I think.
Okay, they would have had him be 4, and they would have even looked. They would have looked even nuttier.
Yeah, but
it would have looked ugly too.
Wide receiver 4 is better than just.
Is it?
Cutting them for nothing.
When you draft top 15, you wide receiver 4 in year 3?
Yeah, but you're drafting 20 and you cut them after two years. Also,
reasons y'all was too in terms of having receivers there. Like
it's just something. You gotta have something.
Yeah. Practice this and go get another wide.
I mean, and that's the last thing I wanted to hit on. I don't think it's going to be IU, and if it is, if they're banking on it being IU, then they're stupid.
It's not,
because they should have. Like, when I heard the trade happen, I was like, all right, I give it like 2-3 hours, and then I hear Ayuk is going there. Like, that's what I was expecting.
No.
I was expecting everything to already have been in the works.
That thing is...
But since the day is going and it's not announced, I'm like, all right, you guys didn't have this in the works, so now you're going to try after giving him up.
It's 2 weeks before the season. He's been sitting on 2 contract offers for like a week now. We really think he's waiting for a third at this point? And even if it's a third contract offer from the Commanders, are they really going to give him what he wants? Because I'm going to tell you from the optic standpoint, you guys giving Ayuk what he wants at $30+ million is a slap in the face to Terry McLaurin. You're telling him what you've done for the last 5 years as a 1,000-yard receiver every year, given what we had at quarterback, it means nothing.
Not necessarily.
It absolutely does.
When did Terry get his extension?
Terry hasn't gotten one.
New money.
He's making 15 this year. You can double that?
He was in like the 18 to 20, I think.
You're gonna double that? You're gonna have to double that.
I don't think it's disrespectful. It's just the timing. It's the timing.
You said double?
It's disrespectful.
Because if he's getting 15 a year and you're giving
Ayuk 30.
No. But he said that that's just 15 for this year, but his actual like contract he'll be getting like 20 something the next year, right?
In 2022, he signed a 3 year, 68.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so it expires next year.
Correct.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, but they actually have the cap space to have 2 receivers.
I'm not saying they don't. I'm just saying that's a slap in the face to McLaurin.
No, it's not.
So he's going to have an expiring deal next year. So that means
he's still under contract next year. It'll be
I'm saying. So that means here's what you're going to do, right? Mm-hmm. You're going to give him 30, right? It's kind of sort of like the Cincinnati thing again. You're going to give him 30, and then when Terry's contract is up, what Terry going to say?
But you can do that right now.
You want to do that? You want to give
Terry 30?
Don't do this. Don't do this. Don't do this. We know how you feel about Terry. I think Terry's a wide receiver 1.
I think that he's worth at least as much as Devontae Smith is worth.
Yes.
And that's 27.
If Waddle's getting 28, I think Terry definitely deserves 28.
100% agree.
Okay, so then both of them.
No, that's fine. I'm not touching it. 27, 28. That's your max. That's my cap.
No,
I'm not touching.
Okay, but like I said, like the Commanders are in position to do that for both guys.
You want to do that?
So
I wouldn't be opposed.
You gonna pay $60 million on 2 wide receivers?
Jaden Daniels is my quarterback.
But Jaden Daniels will only be in year 2. But you have,
we got time.
You can definitely do that. You have 3 years.
I don't think that's a good idea. That's just me.
No.
Do your thing.
Because you would hold on, but you would say that though if it was Jamar Chase and Higgins, would you not? If Joe Burrow was
would not. One's got to go.
If Joe Burrow was on his rookie deal, you wouldn't just pay both for Joe Burrow's rookie deal.
No,
not on his rookie deal.
No, either way, one's got to go.
Not on his rookie deal. Because
I'd rather build up. All I need is one
for now.
We could.
Listen, a cheaper guy.
But it's just
who could be a number 2.
But it's just as rookie.
I can build the rest of my team. I'm just going to throw it all into 2 wide receivers.
Do you feel comfortable with the roster the way it is now? You feel comfortable enough with a large chunk of your cap space going to receivers, knowing that Emmanuel Forbes still hasn't proven himself. Benjamin St-Juste is still a question mark. Yes, Sanders still is he's highly regarded, but he's 5'9". He's probably a slot corner. You still don't have much of an answer. You still don't have much of an answer at edge. You don't have anybody anchoring there. Your O-line are you questioning your O-line a little bit? That's a lot of questions for you to sit here and say, all right, I'm gonna give them 60, but there's so many question marks.
I can lock in. Yeah, like I can get a high profile safety and a high profile linebacker for the money that you're talking about paying for these guys.
The difference is Brandon Ayuk seems to want to be in DC for one to play with Daniels. That's different. You know what I'm saying? Having somebody
if you brought in Ayuk, I'm just saying Terry got to go. Like he's gonna have to walk. I'm not paying Terry if I'm paying him. If you pay Ayuk, right? If you get him, then when Terry's contract's up, it's up. I'm not keeping them both.
I'm okay with that stance of paying both, but you just have to know that you have to draft very well.
Yes,
which is possible.
I want to do that first.
You can draft very well.
Or resign Terry anywhere.
I mean, this is.
But you're going to need what 2 draft classes to try to get this roster up to where you feel.
Not necessarily, because they just added offensive line. They added 2.
But we got to see what they do.
Of course, but that's any position. But if they answer it, then there's nothing.
Bro, he doesn't love his top 2 corners right now. You think
you can still draft that? This is a new regime. You can draft those guys.
You're just going to draft 2 corners next year. And
you don't have to. No,
put in points.
What teams have 2 great corners? They usually don't.
It's not about having great corners. Go ahead.
I think again, you got question marks in your entire secondary.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. How long you got Bobby for? I mean, you like to brag about Bobby. Bobby.
Like just at least just this year.
For this year. Okay. So we need to replace. We need a permanent solution. Okay. So I'm sitting here. Your defense has a lot of question marks.
I feel like Lugu. I don't know why you're like.
With your defense having question marks on all 3 levels, right? Is that fair to say you have question marks on all 3 levels of your defense?
I mean, I don't question our defensive line.
You're good with the edge.
When do those contracts expire?
They're fine, but you don't
know how
you don't have a premium edge rusher.
Premium, no.
Right. So you don't have a premium edge rusher. You don't have a top linebacker. You don't have a safety, and you're worried about your corners. And we're gonna throw $60 million
to the receivers. Say, let's play football.
And let's say the hell with the rest. I'll get 2 premium people on defense for $30 million.
I feel you. Again, one.
Okay, but who are they paying right now?
No, but I'm saying that's what that money can go towards.
I understand that, but you also have money that can still go towards them. It might not be the most high profile guys, still be solid guys.
And even right now, like getting Brandon Ayuk, that would be the best way of improving our team right now. We don't have to worry about Terry's contract yet. We can cross that bridge when we get there. That's how I feel.
Are you not caring about compensation as well when it comes to getting Ayuk? Because it's not going to be just for a third. Because you said earlier, we could.
You're gonna probably.
What do you think San Francisco asking for?
Well, but that
one
at least one. That's just the answer to the phone.
Hold on, but we've seen it where it got to a point where it's just like, if the guy truly wants to leave, they will be like, dang, like we got to get something because they know they're not going to get anything after this year. We have seen the case where it does happen.
Well, the Niners, Niners would have pulled that trigger to New England already then, but they didn't
because he doesn't want to go there. So obviously, like New England's not trading for him if he's not going to sign the long-term extension.
That's true.
I feel like
it's a guarantee he's going. Okay.
It's a guarantee. I literally said it. So it's like you can't like. It has to be a place that he wants to go.
You guys are saying it because if he says that he doesn't want to go there,
then the team's not going to trade for him. Or the Patriots would have pulled the plug on. They would have.
And we're saying he's going to say yes to play with Jaden.
It's a possibility,
but yet still lose.
Lose what?
Games. That's part of the reason why he didn't want to go to New England.
And James.
That's part of the reason.
But he might believe that they can win with James. He might believe it.
No, that's fine. He's going to do that. It's natural. They're friends. They play college ball together.
Why?
But they're also. But if you're Ayuk, you also know, bro, you probably not going to win for the next 2 years. You probably not going to see the postseason.
And he clearly that since he keeps pushing his narrative out. The FaceTimes with Jay Daniels that are recorded. Watch it take the story.
All right. We're going to cut it there. You all let us know what you agree with, what you don't agree with. Leave your comments. Please like, subscribe, rate, review, share on all socials. With that being said, I am Cordell.
Marqus.
Deuce.
Till next time, be easy, be breezy, and please take it easy.